Good rising, brethren. This is Big Judah coming to you guys from California. Before I begin, give all praises to the Most High, Yahweh. Acknowledgement to the earthly mother, who is wisdom, who is the Holy Spirit. Acknowledgement to Yahweh Shai. I pray that the Most High blesses this lesson this afternoon. Okay? Gives us a knowledge and understanding of the events of the past in order to understand the events that are currently happening on the earth. So we get a much better understanding of things that are soon to come on the earth. Brethren, we are going to get into some new information. And again, I want to thank the nation for supporting me in order to be able to get this information, in order to acquire this information and bring it to you. I know some other people have already been exposed to this book, but we're going to be able to look at it through new eyes, through the understanding that this is our land over here, and that we've had so many lies pulled over our eyes, it's not even funny. For us to think that the prophecies of Daniel 7 and 25 and the changing of times pretty much only deals with the Sabbath is pretty much a lie. It's way bigger than that. We've had everything switched over and lied, and there's so many lies that now these people that are supposedly our brethren, who have been hell-bent on keeping us from reading any other books, are going to begin to be exposed even more so. These supposed Hebrews who have been making it seem as if everything is contingent upon that land over there in the so-called Middle East are going to be exposed as well. You're going to realize why I've been asking for them to prove that the Most High ordained 80 books only, and they've never made a video, never, pretty much tried to even address the question because they can't. We're going to realize that not only, was the 80 books given to us by the heathen, by the wicked, but even many of the things that we have grown to believe as far as historical truths are a bunch of lies as well. So like I said, and now it kind of makes sense as we're coming to the end of the second Pentecost, the second actually, is the Pentecost. We're actually going to the Pentecost. We're coming to the Pentecost, and it's just amazing, to sit here and we're coming up to the end of the second Passover, and how the Most High is making everything plain. We're coming to the 50 days after the original not the Pentecost, Passover. And it's just amazing because there's just so many things that are coming together. The 50 days from the supermoon, the pink supermoon, the them getting ready to launch their rocket up they call the Dragon, probably tomorrow. It's just absolutely amazing, all these things. And then this information is coming out now that's going to even expose the wicked even more. It's going to expose the priests of Ahan even more. It's going to expose the people who have been pretty much hand in hand with these people that look like us. It's just it's so much. It's actually overwhelming to see, because like I said, the Passover, there's a second chance for the Passover as well. All that's all coming to a head, and we're going to get into this book, and I'm only going to show you very little bit. I don't have to get into it deep, but we're going to. This is probably just the first time we're just going to get into it, but there's so much information that's been done for us. People have been working on this book, for, I want to say, around 17 years. But see, we can't understand it before because, we were still stuck on the so-called Middle East. We had brethren, supposed brethren, who were bringing us into the truth, but we're still sitting everything up in the so-called Middle East. That's why our days were always off, because, even though we went with the Enoch calendar, we were looking for equal day and equal night over in the so-called Middle East. This year, some of my brethren, we got together and we were kind of like looking at it, and we wanted to actually set it up for equal day, equal night here in the Americas. And once we did that, many of the things started to click. Now that we, and the dates all started to click better, the things that were, it started to align with the things that were happening in the air, in the sky, with the moons, with the dates and everything else. And like I said, that's all the Most High. That is all the Most High. Now, this is the book right here. The Medieval Empire of the Israelites. And when you take a look at even the cover, I mean, look at it. It's the three parts, and they put their little Jerusalem in the middle over there. You got your Europe, you got your Asia, you got your Africa. That was the three parts that the wicked and the Gentiles. It's not all. I already know not all Gentiles are wicked. Okay, so let me clarify that. The Gentiles is lands, and what their sphere of influence was over there in Europe, Asia, and Africa. They were forbidden from coming over here to the Americas, so they had to make sure everything fit over there, and that's exactly what they've done. So now when you got these camps that are talking about, show me the relics, show me the antediluvian books, show me all this information, you're going to find out that these people came over here and hid all that information and took it right back over there to their lands in order to raise up the influence of their lands, to make it seem that everything happened over there. So when you hear people talking about, oh, well, there's a Jerusalem over here, it doesn't mean it's the real Jerusalem. There's all these lands that are named over here. That doesn't mean, they're saying is that the Gentiles came over here because everything was originally over there, and they brought those names over here. When more than likely it was backwards. When they came over here, they saw the names of these lands over here, and they took them back over there to Europe and started to apply our names to their lands in order to make it seem as if everything happened over there. It's going to give you a little taste of what is going on here in this book. And we're only going to read pretty much the beginning and take a look at the back picture of the book. And it's going to give you a little taste of what we're going to be getting into. So I'm going to be pretty much going into this book along with other things that are going on, going forward, because there's so much information here that now it will make it seem as if, we've just been told that all these things happened over there. But who was the one that was pushing those lies? The Gentiles. And we didn't have any other information. So we pretty much, they wouldn't lie to us about this. They wouldn't lie to us about that. When we can now we're going to find out they've been lying to us about everything. And they've picked up and they've raised up some people that look like us to continue to elevate, the status of these Gentiles. If you're still pushing 80 books, you're pushing Gentile doctrine. If you're still pushing it, everything happened over there, you're still pushing Gentile doctrine. So I could care less what you look like. Your actions let me know everything that I need to know about you. If you're pushing that's not the book. Well, the book of Enoch you have is not the real book of Enoch. That book of Jasher is not the real book of Jasher. How would you know? That's what Gentiles have told us. How would you know have you seen the original book of Enoch? Have you seen the original book of Jasher? No, you haven't, because they're locked in these vaults. They're locked away. So just because you say that these aren't the original books doesn't make it right. Better yet, why don't you prove that the Most High approved the only 80 books that you read? If you can't prove that the Most High is the one who set that up, then you have no standing to sit there and say that you can only read these books. That's what Gentiles have told me. So now you're pushing Gentile doctrine with the 80 books only. If you haven't proven that the Most High has said 80 books only, then you're following what a Gentile's told you. Check this out. Just a preface, okay? In William Shakespeare's tragedy, Othello, there is a riddle. What religion does Othello profess? Desdemona says directly, by heaven, you do me wrong, as I am a Christian. But here, the frank and honest Othello seems to be hiding something. It is assumed today that he, a black-skinned Moor, must be a Muslim, or at least descendant of Muslims. According to traditional history, there really is no alternative. Othello, before he ends his life in suicide, recalls and say besides that in Aleppo once were a malignant and a turbaned Turk beat a Venetian and traduced the state. I took by the throat the circumcised dog and smote him thus, stabs himself. Okay, so let's check this out now. You're gonna start to, when you start to see this stuff, it's what's gonna be amazing. It's gonna be all this stuff was in front of our faces the entire time, but we were not able to see it. Just like when we first came into the truth and we started to read the Bible, and the Most High opened our eyes, and we're gonna be like, how did I not see that before? I've read this, I've read this Bible many times, or I've read this verse many times. How did I not recognize what it was really saying? Now we're going to see that with their history. Okay. It says, that is according to the contemporary ideas. Islam must already have been in the world, since some kind of circumcised dog in a turban had fought with the Venetian in Aleppo. Meanwhile, still rather recently in historical time, the military personnel, of many countries have worn turbans. And circumcision, as it will be shown in our book, is a most complex phenomenon, one characteristic of a definite stage in all of human culture. Thus, it is impossible to understand who Othello is in terms of faith, and it is not clear why he calls the Turk a dog. But it is not worth accusing Shakespeare of a mistake. Not only he, but also the English in general up to the 17th century, did not mention anywhere in written sources the words Muslim, Islam, Quran, minaret, musing, hijra, Kaaba. The full significance of this is that they did not know anything of them. But as you know, we have to open this up. Wasn't the best picture. If I can, I'll try to take a better picture and put it up on the website. Okay. The sons of Albion had already visited the corners of the globe and would have known of these if they had existed. These words clearly were unknown to Shakespeare, as well as to both Francis Bacon and other great Englishmen of that era. So there's these words that are being used that were not known to these people. So how is it possible that they would be using these certain words? They wouldn't be. Okay, so let's continue. They were similarly unknown as well to the Italian writer Giraldi Cantio, on whose novella The Moor of Venice, the Hecatomnithi collection, or 100 Tales, 1566, Shakespeare based his masterpiece. So these words were not known to these people. So there's no way that in 1566 they would have written this, especially with these kinds of words, okay? So how could Othello have not been a Muslim? Okay, the riddle of Othello grows into one of the cardinal questions connected with medieval times, with modern nations, states, and religions. Okay, we're being born right there. Our book is devoted to this era. Scientific facts are collected in it that prove that up until now, the predominant historical conception has been utopian. It was built on false premises by means of an artificially constructed chronology. A multitude of evidence points to the fact that all ancient manuscripts are literary works of the 15th, 16th centuries. So it gives new meaning to the Renaissance. I mean, it was a real rebirth because they had nothing before this. Okay? So again, a multitude of evidence points to the fact that all ancient manuscripts are literary works of the 15th and 16th centuries, and that there never was in reality any ancient Rome and Greece, as history teaches us. We have collected the conclusions of dozens of scientists from various countries that the most ancient monuments of mankind, the pyramids of Egypt, were erected in the period between the 11th and 18th centuries of our own era. So they're going to give you a bunch of information, scientific information, historical information, that many of the things that we've been told about the ages of many of these events and these buildings and all these, monuments are all relatively new. Okay. It says the processing of writing sources on a computer with a comparative analysis and their authenticity, and the other newest methods of the study of history, which have been found by scientists, support the contention that in the 13th and 14th centuries of our era, the First World War in history broke out. It ended with the formation of a colossal empire with a capital in Istanbul, which at that time was called Jerusalem. Okay, and we know, and we looked in actually the other books of Columbus. They talk about how they were equating Constantinople with Jerusalem. It says its territory included a large part of Europe, Asia, and all the civilized regions of Africa and Japan. There is good reason to say that the Aztec civilization was also included within the empire. So we'll get into some more stuff later on as far as this. I just wanted to get you a little introductions into some of the things we're going to be getting into as far as this book is concerned, and how it's going to start to bring more knowledge, understanding as to our awakening, how important these lands are, why you still got all these people trying to push us onto other lands that were not given to us. As you can see, our awakening, it was okay for us to realize who we are. That's never been the problem. They have to give us something. But the big hijack and the big change was letting us know where our lands were. So we got many of these people that are in so-called groups and, that have been attacking for so long. That's when they really got nasty, was when we start talking about these being our lands right here. That's when many of the attacks got even more personal. And now we understand why. Now with this book, along with, it's not just me, it's other brethren who are bringing out more vital information. I said, I have a piece. Other brethren have this book for much longer than I have. So the Most High now brought it to my attention because now it's that time. So I know other people have brought this out as well. I said I've seen a couple of videos on it from a few years ago. Okay, I'm sure that the Drop brought it out. I know that Karimio, because he actually shared some information with me concerning this book here as well. So there's other people that have been exposed to these books, like I said, but now it's time for us to bring all this information together as a nation. Another one here. Check this out. Many things, okay? This is the back of the book right here. The crucifixion place is beside the sea, but modern Jerusalem doesn't have any. You see that? So like I said, they're going to bring out all this. They've done all this research, and they're going to bring all this information out. So now you just can't give them the benefit of the doubt that all this stuff happened over there. And see, but we've done that. We've given them the benefit of the doubt in everything. And now it makes sense as to why now, as we get closer to 50 days after the end, okay, of our Passover, then even more information is now coming out, more understanding. We had our Passover. We're finishing up our 50 days. There's all this information, all these things coming up with Comet Swan, all these things that are happening in the skies, and that are actually confirming the times that we're in. And now the Most High is bringing more information out for more understanding, that we can put the puzzle pieces together to understand how important our land is. And when you go back to Joel 2, when he talks about having pity on his land and pity for his people, you're going to understand why these lands are so important. But even like I said, we just look at pictures and we just give them the benefit of the doubt. You just take a look right there. It's like the Most High made it. He's like, you guys can lie, but you guys got to put the truth in these pictures and in these books, so that when I wake up my people, I'm going to lead them to the truth. And take a look at that right there. The crucifixion, place is beside the sea, but modern Jerusalem doesn't have any. We can see how that modern Jerusalem does not fit many of the things in the scriptures. because many of the events that happened did not happen over there. And that's how the Most High is going to have to bring us full circle into this understanding. Like he said, in the lands where they said you were not or not my people, in those lands you're going to be found out that we are the sons of the living power. And that's exactly what's going on right now. That's why you sit here and look at things like this. He shall speak pompous words against the Most High, shall persecute the saints of the Most High. And that's exactly what he's did. That's exactly what the wicked have done. And shall intend to change times and law. So they're changing times. They're taking away years. That's all part of prophecy. Making it seem as if things happen, over long spans of time when it really didn't. Making it seem that things happen in certain land masses where they didn't happen. Like I said, this is a very deep prophecy right here. So he's changing times and law. So it's more than just the calendar. Much more than just that. Adding years to things that didn't happen, making it seem as if they had a ancient history. I always laugh when I hear about ancient Greece and ancient Rome, but now we're going to learn even more about that, about how it never happened, and it's all been a lie. It's all been a farce. And how the wicked has employed people that look like us to continue for us, even when we started to be awakened, to still follow the ways of the Gentiles. And how, even to this day, they still haven't proven anything. Still haven't seen one video. They make videos over all these different topics, but they don't touch the ones talking about other books coming out the end in 2nd Esdras 14. They don't make videos about 80 books only. Prove it. Let's prove it. If y'all want to get together and have unity camps and unity, all this other stuff, why don't you make a unity camp and make a video about how the Most High only approved 80 books? See, they're going to have to prove that all these things happened over there. There's not going to get to, it's not, no more are we going to just accept what they say and give them the benefit of the doubt. They're not in an elevated position where we need to go and prove things to them. They're now going to have to come and prove things to us, which we know they're not going to be able to do. So like I said, this is just a taste of what is to come. All praises to the Most High, Yahweh. Acknowledgement to the earthly mother, who is wisdom, who is Holy Spirit. Acknowledgement to Yahweh Shai. Shalom.